So a few years back, David Webb, leader in the Tea Party movement, has a talk show, had a CNN legal analyst on his show, and she said to him, he was talking about how he made it in the music industry before he went on talk radio. And he said, nobody, he worked hard. He didn't get any handouts. He had to put in the hours and the effort and the time to make it. And she said, well, that's easy for you because you have white privilege. And he's like, how do I have white privilege? She says, by being white, you have white privilege. And he said, ma'am, I'm black. David Webb is a black man. And they were on the radio, so she couldn't see him. And it was hilarious. And she apologized, and he made the point. See, you have a narrative. And CNN, the liberal media, the Democrat parties, they always try and build a narrative. And some of the people actually believe it, like this woman was actually believing their narrative. So the Tea Party started where Americans, black, white, Latino, there were Democrats, Republicans, it was across party lines, were worried about the deficit and the debt and the taxes. And it was just like the government was taxing and spending us into oblivion. So the Tea Party formed to protest this, try and get our congressmen to be more fiscally responsible with our money, and elect fiscal responsible people of Congress. That's all it was about. But it grew, and so the Democrats got worried because everything they were saying sounded like they were going to vote Republican. So a couple of the members, I think Corrine Brown and a couple other ones, claimed they walked past a Tea Party rally and were called the N-word. And it was disproven. There was people there with iPhones. It never happened. So then the Democrats did what a lot of political parties do. They sent operatives undercover into the Tea Party. And these were guys wearing Tea Party hats, George Bush hats at the time, and Tea Party shirts. And they would start saying racist stuff. And the actual people in the Tea Party threw them out and then investigated these people and found that they were all Democrat plants. So this happens. I mean, both sides does it, but usually the Democrats play better than us in politics. They're much better politically than us. We trust that we can inform people. Republicans trust you inform people, they'll vote the right way. Democrats, they can't tell you what they're really up to. They always got to get you mad, like, oh, these guys are racist, these guys are homophobic, or whatever. So this is a common thing. I kind of think Bob Vander Platt may be a liberal plant. Now, who's Bob Vander Platt? If you watched my last video about him, he's the head of this family organization. First time I seen him, first time I heard of him was that night, like 5 minutes before I made the video. He was on a show with a talk show host, supposedly conservative guy, Mike Slater. And Mike Slater asked him a loaded question. What do you think? Now, the family leader is supposed to raise up people of faith to vote for pro-life, pro-family candidates. So he asked him a loaded question. What do you think about the Catholic Church now blessing same-sex unions? Instead of Vander Platt saying, no, you misunderstood. They don't bless same-sex unions. Actually the Pope and the Vatican came out clearly and said the church cannot bless same-sex unions because God cannot bless sin. I mean, it's clear, black and white. This lie about same-sex unions being blessed has been debunked thousands of times. So he went along with the narrative that the Catholic Church blesses same-sex unions. And then he talks like he's in this really, really good conservative church himself, because he's a Christian. Oh no, the church must influence the culture. It shouldn't be the other way around. He was basically saying the Catholic Church is letting the culture influence us. So it really got me annoyed. I said, either this guy is really uneducated, uninformed, or he's a total fake and a phony. Because Dr. James Dobson would never do that. And he was the leader back in my day. When I was on the evangelical side, we knew the Catholics were our Christian brothers and sisters, and we had the same values, and we were fighting for the same values. And this is how we got Reagan elected twice. And I was like, this guy is no James Dobson. This guy's not even close in his intellect or his spiritual depth. He's shallow. And Mike Slater could be a fake conservative. You know, Rush Limbaugh, when he was alive, warned us that there's a lot of fake conservative radio show hosts because they get out of college, they want to get a job in the radio, and they know that conservative radio is the only place you're going to make a living. And this guy, Mike Slater, young guy, graduated from the most liberal university, Yale University, and now all of a sudden he's a conservative Christian dude. Seems a little effeminate if you ask me, but I don't know him personally. I could be misreading it. I only see him that one time. But he seemed like a fake conservative. And I've called him out. Bud Hettinger, he was a fake conservative. I called him out on Rumble because part of how he revealed himself was during the pandemic. I had thought he was a fake conservative before the pandemic. But in the pandemic, he just became a spokesman for Pfizer and like totally revealed himself. So I went on Rumble and blew his cover. He's no longer there. I don't think it's because of what I did. I think he had a lot of heart issues. He had a lot of heart issues. I think he had several heart attacks during the pandemic, so he retired. So there are fake conservative talk show hosts, and I think Mike Slater might be one. I gotta learn more about him to really say for sure. You know, he goes to all these, you know, mega churches, you know, these really shallow mega churches where they have rock bands and stuff, and he calls himself a Christian. But it was interesting, Bob Vander Platt lied about our church, and so I made a video and I warned him. I said, you know, this is a warning. It was like twofold. I'm warning you, man. If you want to elect pro-life leaders, if you want Trump elected, I'm assuming he's pro-life. He wants Trump elected, you know, because Biden is the most pro-abortion president we ever had, and Trump was the most pro-life. So I'm just assuming, you know, didn't even cross my mind that he didn't want Trump elected. I'm like, you need to unite Catholics and Protestants in the fight. You shouldn't be lying about Catholics and dividing us. And then a couple interesting comments. Protestant subscriber of mine that I really like, Paul, says, Vander Platt goes to a heretical United Church of Christ. And I was like, no way. I know what United Church of Christ is like, so I'm going to read you some of their statements of faith. And then I had another woman that sometimes we agree and sometimes we disagree. She's very respectful. But, you know, here she got a little disrespectful, I think, saying just because she defended him, said, you know, he's a strong pro-life guy. I voted for him. Apparently he ran for governor and lost. I voted for him. Just because he's not a Pope-splainer or a Trump-splainer doesn't mean he's a liar. So I'm like, oh, okay. This guy don't like our Pope or Trump. Okay. So I looked this guy up, and sure enough, he claims he voted for Trump, but in 2016, he told NBC News that he's in favor of a coup at the convention. So if you remember in 2016, Trump won, and there was a lot of never-Trumpers that were trying everything they could to take that nomination away from him. And thank God they lost, because if they would have taken it away from Trump and gave it to somebody else, Ted Cruz or Marco Rubio, and I actually voted for Rubio in the primary, but of course I voted for Trump in the general. If they would have did that, we would have lost, because because Trump brought a lot of people that weren't Republicans aboard to vote for him, and they would have left. They would have jumped ship. They would have been like, oh, this Republican Party is corrupt as the Democrats, because we watched that same year they stole the nomination from Bernie Sanders, the Democrats did. So if they would have did the same thing over here, if the establishment would have got away with it, Trump would have lost. So I'm like, so maybe this guy is a plant. He's acting all conservative, but he would have caused Trump to lose. So I said, well, how is he now? He said he voted for Trump now. He's still talking trash about Trump. You know, he endorsed Ron DeSantis. Okay, so now he got street creds. Ron DeSantis is my governor, and I always say he's the best governor in the country. And he would make a great president. But there was no way he was going to beat Trump. So why endorse him? And why trash talk Trump and use Democrat talking points? He talks about Trump's character the way Democrats do. Like, oh, he's not a good Christian man. He's a bad man. So maybe he's a plant. But getting back to his church. So this is a man, I mean, he claims he's pro-life. He claims he's pro-traditional family. but he's still a member of the United Church of Christ. And he's going to bash my church and lie about the Catholic Church, who's been pro-life for 2,000 years and has said marriage is between one man and one woman for 2,000 years. Pope Francis said it when an ABC news person asked him, can the church ever allow gay marriage? He said, no, God created marriage between one man and one woman. No pope can ever change that. And what about same-sex unions? Pope Francis approved the document, put his signature on it that said the church cannot bless same-sex unions because God cannot bless sin. And this guy Vander Platt is going to use that narrative, that lie about the Catholic Church, that the Catholic Church is blessing same-sex unions, when his own church says this. This is his church. This is Bob Vander Platt's church, the United Church of Christ. This is their website. The United Church of Christ is one of the most welcoming and affirming Christian denominations, celebrating same-sex marriages. Forget about unions, marriages. Since 2005. And Bob Vander Platt's church has been ordaining LGBTQ plus pastors since 1972. He's in the most liberal denomination on the face of the planet. And what do they say about abortion? United Church of Christ. Can you read that? Abortion is healthcare. United Church of Christ. So yes, I think it's a very good possibility that Bob Vander Platt is a liberal plant to help defeat Donald Trump and the Republicans. You know, it's not a great conspiracy. It's all about money. I mean, he's getting 190 grand a year salary from the family place, the family leader. That's his salary to go on talk shows and lie about the Catholic Church. But who knows what the Democrats are giving him on the side? Who knows? If someone's got the resources, lives in Iowa, let me know what his house looks like. Not that I want to go to his house, but does he have a $5 million house? That would be kind of odd. Anyway, and Mike Slater could be a fake conservative. But that's the worst case scenario. The best case scenario is these guys know nothing about what they speak of. So I wouldn't donate. I wouldn't give either one of them my business. I wouldn't give either one of them a time of day. So that's just me. But yeah, I gave them a warning, assuming they wanted to elect conservatives. Hey, don't attack and lie about Catholics. We need each other. It's going to take conservative Catholics and conservative Protestants to elect pro-life leaders and to elect Donald Trump. Turns out he don't want to elect Donald Trump, apparently. But that was my warning. And then my second warning was, if you don't apologize, I'm going to find out about you. And I found a little bit. Every time I find out a little bit more, I'm going to keep talking about it. And I have one of my subscribers screenshotted me. He posted it on Mike Slater's X file or Twitter account. And same thing with Bob Vander Platt. And neither one of them apologized. So keep lying about my church, and I'll keep telling the truth about you. God bless and stay Catholic.